Hey guys, without boring you with a long intro, if you want to see how I did this, then keep on watching. So let's start out with the components. We got a PCB, some lights, of course, LEDs, we love LEDs, a power cable, some capacitors, a power button, and some resistors. There's absolutely no SMD components to solder on this board for today, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be fun. So without further ado, let's get into the project and start the assembly and the soldering process. First things first, I need to check the bill of materials so I know what component goes where on the PCB. And starting with the resistors, I'm going to be using this tool, which I absolutely love. It's a much better, cleaner way to bend the feet on the resistors, and it's gonna save me time. You're gonna see in the next few segments that once I get to bend the feet on all of the rest of the resistors, it just goes fast, so it's a time saver for me, which I absolutely love. When I was working in electronic production, this was one of my used tools because I had to do repairs on boards, and one of the things that I had to do is replace these things. As you can see here, I'm mounting the components on, and I'm cutting the feet and soldering. And for those who are curious, I'm using the Weller WE1010 soldering kit and lead-free solder. Here's how it looks from above. I think it's pretty good. This is the below view in the microscope. And here I'm gonna start with the rest of the resistors. I'm going to use the same tool to bend all of the feet, and it's gonna take much less time than if I was to do it one by one with pliers. There were 29 resistors in total that I had to put on the PCB and solder, but it did not take me that much time, probably 5 minutes I would say. And here you can see how it looks. It's pretty nice. Now when it comes to soldering, I just go one by one, basically making sure there is no joints unsoldered and seeing the quality at the end. A quick tip for soldering that I can give you is don't come with the soldering tin from above and hit only the ring. My advice is when you set down the soldering iron on the ring and the foot at the same time, come with the soldering tin from a 90-degree angle, like almost flat to the PCB. That way the tin has a better chance of melting. Here's a little cleaning tip when it comes to cleaning off a lot of flux from the PCB. You want to get yourself one of these brushes and safe to use cleaning cloths. Load up the brush with alcohol. I'm using isopropyl 99%. And then start rubbing lightly on the PCB. Don't use too much pressure, it's not recommended, but be firm, I would say. And now I got myself a really clean PCB, and it was easy and fast, and I love this method. And here's how the soldering is looking under the microscope. I think it turned out pretty good. It's shiny, it's even, and I think it took me about 5 minutes in total to do the whole thing. Moving on to soldering the power button, and I thought I would include a real time, no time-lapse soldering of the component. As you can see, it's not difficult to solder with lead-free solder. I know that many people do not prefer it, they do not recommend it because it's pretty hard for beginners to get a hang of it, but I assure you, with practice, you won't have a problem. It goes pretty fast, as you can see, and the soldering looks perfect under the microscope. See? Pretty and shiny. Here I'm continuing mounting all of the LEDs, and I'm going to show you a really cool trick on how to do it in one go. I know it sounds crazy because it's a lot of LEDs, but I'm going to show you this little trick that I used to do in production whenever I had a lot of pieces to solder in one go. So what you want to do is take something soft like the cloths that you used to clean with, or anything else like a sponge, something that's not static basically. You put it on top of the components and you flip it upside down so you have stability the moment you put the iron on the soldering joint. So here you can see it's going very fast, and not just because of the time lapse. Like you can actually see this method works, and what the cloth underneath does is also keep the components in place so they don't fall off the moment you're pressing on the PCB. The cleaning process here is exactly the same, so there's nothing new to show. And here's what the PCB looks like after all of the lights are soldered. I think it's cute. I like it. And look how clean it is. I'm kind of proud of myself, I have to say. Okay, moving on to these little guys. We're gonna be soldering them exactly as before. Set the components in, solder the feet, cut the feet, clean the PCB. I rub the joints with alcohol every single time. There is no exceptions because I don't want any flux on my board. And the last touch to the board is these two capacitors that I'm going to solder right now. After this, I'm going to start peeling these acrylic plates. It's kind of satisfying, but this one was pretty hard to get off, so I don't know how satisfying it looks in the camera, so I'm just gonna let this play and you guys can be the judge of that. Now I'm gonna start the assembly process, and first I'm gonna mount these pillars on that's going to support the PCB from below. On the sides, there are gonna be these side panels like the acrylic plates. They're going to go on the sides, and then it's going to be another one on top. Right now I'm screwing in place the PCB on the first acrylic plate, and I just remembered I have one more thing to solder. But it's good that I didn't get far into the assembly process. So after soldering the power plug, I'm going to continue assembling all of this, and oh my god. The next step is going to be uncomfortable because, as you can see, I need to hold the nut with the tweezers in between that acrylic plate and another acrylic plate and try my very best to screw. And if by any chance I lose that nut into the enclosure, I have to disassemble everything, which only happened once. So I was happy for that. This was one of the most time-consuming assembly I've ever done when it comes to these homemade projects. It was definitely a learning curve for me, but once I got the hang of it, it wasn't that difficult and it just went smooth. The project is almost complete. I'm just finishing up screwing the rest of the things in, and here is a glimpse of how it looks, and let's see if it actually works. I'm excited. It works! Look how cute it is! The power button seems to be working just fine. Yeah, I'm satisfied. What do you guys think? It was fun. Actually, it was really fun. It's gonna have a place on my desk for sure. Just wanted to include a little bit of footage with my little demon. She was so hyper the whole time I was filming, and she was keeping me company while I was doing the project. She just wanted to say hi to you guys. So, voila! If you like this type of videos, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye!